This video is all about DNA activation. In this video, I'm going to talk about what DNA activation is. In other words, what it really means and what it does. I'll touch on whether or not DNA activation is real, something that could actually benefit you and improve your life, or is it just some new age scam, a way for hucksters to trick you out of money? I will also give you some options on how you might get your DNA activated, as well as giving you an opportunity before we finish this video to get your DNA 100% activated for free. I am Brent Michael Phillips. I am the founder and creator of the awakening dynamic system of energy healing and higher consciousness. This video is number 3 in our series of 13 called Ignite Your Intuition. I'm going to lay out everything you need to know, all the ins and outs, all the secrets, all the tips, so you can develop your intuitive abilities to the highest levels and really transform your life. So the first thing I want to talk about is what DNA activation is. So if you've been around the New Age world for a while, you may have heard people talking about, oh, you need to get your DNA activated. So before we talk about whether or not you need it and the benefits and drawbacks, let's talk about what it is. So what is DNA, first of all? Well, we all remember from high school chemistry class that DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, is basically the information code that sits inside the nucleus of our cells. And if we look just at the first layer of the DNA, the first layer of the DNA is the physical DNA. That's the stuff that scientists can see under a microscope, right? That has that characteristic double helix shape. Again, a lot of you may remember this from high school biology, right? Don't worry, you don't need to know any of the nerdy stuff. Here's the important thing. The physical DNA in our body, also called the layer 1 DNA, is really important for life. Because what DNA does is, it's essentially a giant recipe book for proteins. That the most complex molecules in our bodies that sustain and facilitate life are quite complex proteins. And we need instructions on how to build them. It's not too much different than you got a new bookshelf from IKEA, and there's all these parts, and you're like, how do I turn this into the finished thing that looks like the picture, right? Well, you got the instructions, right? You do this, you put this bolt here, you tape this, you hammer that, right? You go through all the instructions and boom, you got a bookcase, good for you, right? Well, that's what your physical DNA does for your body. Anytime your body needs to make a protein, it goes into the DNA and says, hey guys, I need the instructions. And the DNA makes a copy of the instructions your body needs. And then it ships it over to another part of the cell where it takes those instructions and actually makes a protein. And so this physical layer of the DNA, the layer 1, is really important. Why? Without it, we could not live. We could not have physical, biological life on Earth. And the DNA is also very fragile. This is why, for example, radiation is so dangerous. The reason radiation is dangerous, like from a nuclear reactor, is because the radiation that it emits scrambles our DNA so that your body goes to make a blood cell and the instructions are corrupted. So the layer 1 DNA is essentially a big recipe book. It tells your cells how to make all the proteins it needs to support your life. So good stuff, right? Really important. I'm not going to say too much more about that. Lots of other places you can go if you want to learn all the nerdy scientific details about DNA and how it works. However, here's the thing. We humans have more than one layer of DNA. We actually have at least 12 that have been identified. Here's the challenge though. Only the layer 1 DNA, only the physical DNA, is something you can see under a microscope. Why? The other 11 layers of the DNA exist in a higher dimensional space. And so these higher layers of the DNA cannot be found directly by scientists because they're not in the body. They're sort of dimensionally layered on top of your physical body. And so, again, you don't need to know all the nerdy details to change your life, to develop your intuition. But in the same way that the layer 1 DNA, the physical codes in the cells of your body, tell your body how to make proteins to facilitate physical life, the other 11 layers of the DNA, the energetic layers, the higher dimensional layers, they're essentially codes and recipes for the higher dimensional aspects of life. Your intuition, your ability to heal instantly, to manifest things into your life through the law of attraction. That's what it does. Now, it's not as well spelled out as the physical layer, but there are researchers channelers, psychics, healers like me who have figured out what these 11 layers are. And in this video, I'm not going to get into them. For those that want to learn about all the 12 layers of the DNA and their names and their purpose, I have a whole masterclass within my VIP club, which is my online members program, that breaks it down for you. Don't worry about that for now. What you need to know for right now is that the other 11 layers of the DNA, the energetic ones, the higher dimensional ones, are not mandatory for physical biological life, but they are if you want to become an actuated five-dimensional being. And that's a really important part of what I teach in my weekend intensives, is the exact processes, step by step, for how to fully activate yourself from the inside out, to develop these higher dimensional aspects of yourself. Intuition, reading the future, instant healing, manifesting through the law of attraction, and so on, right? So what is DNA activation? Well, here's what it comes down to. We're not going to get too much into the drama. I have a whole nother YouTube video that I'm going to post for you that gets into the history of why we have these other layers and how they got deactivated. Don't worry about that for now. Just know that approximately 250,000 years ago, something happened to the human genome. There was a quantum shift. There was a significant leap. And our DNA evolved much faster than would be possible through the normal process of biological life on Earth. It's like all of a sudden we evolved over 1 million years overnight, boom. And this is what gave us our higher thought abilities, right? What makes humans distinct from most of the rest of the animals. However, it came with a catch. We have 12 layers in our DNA, but the 11 higher layers, the non-physical layers, the energetic layers, got turned off. Again, not going to get into that here. I'm going to post another YouTube video. I'm going to talk all about the history and the theory, some of the archaeological and anthropological evidence for how this happened. For now, this is what you need to know. If your DNA is not activated, you're going to have a heck of a time engaging in higher dimensional activities, specifically developing your intuition to read the future, to know what to order at a restaurant, to know what job to take, what car to buy, where to live, what stocks to buy. There's so many amazing things you can do with your intuition. But if you do not have your DNA fully activated, you will be at a huge disadvantage. A huge disadvantage. It would be like going to play baseball without a glove. You can do it, right? A lot of people don't realize that in the mid-19th century, baseball players played without gloves, and it beat the hell out of their hands, right? There's a great picture in the Smithsonian of a catcher's hands, and his fingers looked like they'd been broken hundreds of times because they had been. And then one day they said, hey guys, why don't we put some leather around our hands so we're not constantly breaking our fingers playing this game, right? And that's where baseball gloves came from. So activating your DNA is sort of the equivalent of that. You can do intuitive readings, you can do energy healing, you can do law of attraction processes without it, but you're at a huge disadvantage. It's going to be difficult, painful, and slow. Trust me, I know. I know I'm here as an intuition expert teaching you this in the series, but I was not a natural talent at this. Oh my gosh, right? Those of you that know my story know I was like dead last in terms of natural ability. I had none. The truth is, after I experienced my first life-changing miracle, when a healer instantly healed my elbow, which had been paralyzed by a surgery, I really wanted to learn this stuff. And I signed up for the first weekend intensive she was teaching. And I was so excited, oh my gosh. I was literally putting X's on my calendar. It reminded me of when I got my driver's license when I turned 16, right? I could not wait. I was counting the days. And so I went to the hotel room where my teacher was there teaching, and there was about 100 students. Let me tell you, I was the worst of the worst. I couldn't do it at all. I was so bad at intuition during this training that by the third day of the intensive on Sunday, I actually hid in the bathroom because I was so embarrassed at how bad I was, and I didn't want the other students to get stuck with me as their partner. So I'm just letting you know I was terrible at this. One of the things my teacher told me, she said, Brent, your DNA hasn't been fully activated. This wasn't the only reason I struggled with intuition, but it was one of them. And she walked me through a process that took about 2 hours, and it was done in 2 one-hour sessions 2 weeks apart. And I paid her about $300 for those 2 sessions. And after that, my DNA got activated, and I really did notice a difference. It wasn't like I was the best psychic in the world overnight, no. But I was able to start to do it. It was a huge step forward. So is this a real thing? Yes. DNA activation is a real thing. How can it help you? A lot of ways. The most obvious way it will help you, for most people, is it will open up your intuitive abilities. So if you've done intuitive or psychic trainings, or angel readings, or future readings, or whatever, right, and you've struggled and had trouble with it, this might be your missing piece. This might be the biggest obstacle that's holding you back. So if you're interested in doing higher dimensional work, I would strongly encourage you to get your DNA activated. That being said, if you have no interest in this stuff, if you have no interest in developing intuition, learning to do energy healing, law of attraction, the metaphysical parts of life, I would scratch my head and go, why are you here, right? You're welcome to watch, right? But that's what my channel is about. Metaphysics, advanced spirituality, tools of consciousness. So if you have zero interest in this kind of stuff, heck, for you, it may not be necessary to get activated, right? Save your time, save your money. Second thing I want to talk about is how to get your DNA activated. But before I do that, I want to call out a couple things. First, I want you to know I would love to hear from you. My goal is to personally answer every single comment on every single video on my channel. So for everyone watching this, please take a moment, put this into the comments. Why do you want to get your DNA activated? What's your goal? Do you want to develop your psychic abilities? Do you want to be a professional healer? Do you simply want to be able to manifest more money, a better job, a bigger house, a better lifestyle? So take a moment, let me know. Would love to hear from you in the comments. While you're there, make sure you hit like, click subscribe, smash those buttons a couple times, right? And if you enjoy this video, tell your friends. Awesome. So back to it. Let's talk about how you can get your DNA activated. First thing I want to say is the rules have changed. That when I came to this world of energy healing, law of attraction, right, higher consciousness, it did take a skilled practitioner, and it did take 2 sessions 2 weeks apart. And there was a whole process that we went through. I learned it from my teacher, Terry, and I taught it to my students for a while. However, the rules of the game changed around 2012. And this is important. Around 2012, it was no longer necessary to have a formal process that you went through in 2 sessions 2 weeks apart. One of the things that shifted in the consciousness of the world around 2012 was that DNA activation became a field effect. In other words, simply by being present and near somebody that is activated, you would get automatically activated. It is literally like it's contagious in a good way, right? So if you go to the store, you'll activate a bunch of people you stood in line next to, right? They'll go home and activate their families and so on, right? So nowadays, there is a good percentage of our population that has been activated, just doesn't know it. And so here's what you need to know. Please do not go and spend a lot of time or money on some expensive or fancy DNA activation process. It's not necessary. You're wasting your time, you're wasting your money. I remember a few years ago, someone asked me to send out an affiliate mailing to my list, which I do a lot of, right? I like to support other teachers in the industry. But they were selling an $8,000 DNA activation program. It was like a series of conference calls over 12 weeks or something, right? And I said, heck no, I'm not going to sell this. You're ripping people off. It doesn't take that anymore. So no, it does not take a lot of time. It does not take a lot of money. And I would encourage you not to spend a lot of scarce resources on it. Instead, I want to give you a chance to get your DNA totally activated for free. Interested? Awesome. So there's a couple ways you can do it. Certainly, you can book me for a private session. If you're interested, just email support@awakeningdynamics.com. You can see my website URL down in the comments in the description. Let me know. It will take about 30 seconds of your session. So if you book a 60-minute session with me, please have something else in mind for the other 59.5 minutes, right? Because DNA activation, 30 seconds at most. So that's one way to do it. If you want to come to my weekend intensive training, This is one of the many things I will teach you. I will teach you how to do instant healings, how to get to a conscious theta state, how to manifest from the theta state, how to open up your intuition, how to clear subconscious blocks. Lots of cool stuff, right? One of the things you'll learn is how to activate people's DNA. So if you're interested in that, again, my website URL down in the description. Click it, send me a message, type in the comments. I'm here for you. But here's the easiest way. I want to give you and everyone you know an opportunity to get fully activated for free without having to schedule a session or join a weekend intensive or spend any money. This is it. Here's how you do it. Several times a year, I do live Healathon webinars, and everyone is welcome to join. It's a free webinar, and I'm going to walk you through all the 7 sacred tools of higher dimensional living and blow your mind with some metaphysical techniques and processes that literally nobody else in the world can do. Well, my late master could do them, but he passed away in 2018, so you're stuck with this guy, right? I'm the only person in the world that, to my knowledge, can do some of these things, so I'm going to blow your mind. At the end of the Healathon, everybody has an opportunity to ask me questions and to get a free healing, a free personalized healing. All you need to do is click the link below to register for the Healathon, show up, and then when we do the healings, ask for a DNA activation. And I will fully activate all 11 levels of your DNA. And as I make this video, I can do it in under 30 seconds, and they will be 100% permanently fully actualized and activated. Pretty awesome, huh? So let's recap what we talked about today. Is DNA activation real? Yes. There is a real thing. You can't see it under a microscope, right? But that's okay. We can't see gravity under a microscope either, can we, right? We also can't see freedom under a microscope. Doesn't mean it's not real, just means we can't measure it directly, right? Do you need to get activated? I would say absolutely yes if you have any interest in metaphysical work. Intuitive readings, right? Energy healing, law of attraction, higher consciousness, deeper meditation. Yes, 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 yes. Do you have to spend a lot of time or money on it? No, 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 no. Please don't. Save your scarce resources for something more important, right? Go out for a nice dinner. Do a session with a healer you really like, right? Buy yourself some books. Do something else. If you want to get activated and you're not already, just come to my Healathon webinar and I will open the door to the higher dimensions for you. And I'm confident you're going to see, if you're doing metaphysical work, it will often show up very quickly in your life. You will become powerful almost overnight. Pretty cool stuff, huh? Awesome. So again, if you're interested, check out the link below in the description. Register for the Healathon live webinar, and it is a live webinar. I do it several times a year. So click the link, get the upcoming dates, times. Registration is free, and tell your friends. And as always, if you enjoy this video, I got lots more coming in the series. This is just video 3 of 13 in our series on Ignite Your Intuition. So click like, click subscribe, hit that bell to get notifications, tell your friends, and I will see you very soon again, maybe here on YouTube for another video, maybe at one of my weekend intensives, or maybe on my live Healathon webinar, so I can fully activate your DNA for free, one time for the whole rest of your life. Pretty awesome, huh? That's all I got to say for right now. Until next time, please take care and namaste.